There's a type of business that doesn't get enough credit. It doesn't have a venture capitalist behind it, it doesn't have a PR firm. It runs on reputation, referrals, and something that's almost gone extinct in business today, and that is the handshake. I'm Ashley DiPiano, and this show is for the people still running that kind of company and are leaders in their space. Today, I'm sitting down with Apolo Arellano from San Jose, California. He's been running Get Pro Landscaping and built the whole thing the old fashioned way. Let's get into it. So, before we get into the business type of stuff, if you could just tell me a little bit about yourself, how did you end up doing what you currently do right now, Arellano?
Yes, I start, first of all, I migrate from Mexico to this country, and I start working on the industry in the early 2000s. So, and a landscape company big here in the Bay Area. The name is Kachina. So I grew there into be a superintendent. That's when I decided to start my own journey back in 2017 because I saw a lot of clients out there or residential properties that were not treated the landscape way, I said. And that took me here now, running my own business.
Okay, that's awesome. Was there a moment early on when someone kind of trusted you and gave you a shot, and you just knew that you couldn't let them down?
Yeah, I would say my first customer, that's the one that who trust me and that moved me towards getting more clients then. Because I was working on a landscape company. Then when my first customer approached me and told me, hey, you do site work? And I told her yes. And that's how my story began then as an entrepreneur, I would say.
Okay, that's great. And then do you still kind of operate by that handshake type of method, where, you tell a client, I'm going to do this, and they agree? Or do you have a different system that you use?
Yeah, I usually I have a system now. It's a program that is called Jobber that I pay a monthly fee, so it kind of tracks your projects and your schedule a little bit there, so it makes your life a little bit easier. So now under contracts and all those things. It's more, yeah, I already walk away a little bit of the handshaking deals, let's say. But yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey that you got to really take in. I would say step by step, but don't be afraid to do it because otherwise you will stall. I mean, you cannot grow if you don't want to use systems.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Completely. I think it's very important for people to use systems, obviously have that trust in establishment, but something that can help you along the way to save your time and replicate the processes. That makes complete sense to me. So I understand. Another question is, how did word of mouth start working for you? So did you rely on word of mouth to get your first couple of clients, or did you do any sort of marketing?
I did a lot of marketing back then through Yelp, but then as I was growing, getting busier, it was more like word of mouth now. They changed it, so I stopped the Yelp thing and the marketing. I kind of relaunching with better approach, but yeah, I start marketing. A lot of people to start with the word of mouth, which is great, but when nobody knows you, it takes more time for that word of mouth to spread around, let's say. So you do need marketing,
Yeah.
but very strategic. So like you just don't gonna dump money into it. I know at the beginning a lot of customers or a lot of business owners don't like to pay a lot because marketing is expensive if you don't know how to tackle it. Let's say if you just throw money in Facebook ads or job ads, they're just gonna bring you lots of calls. But that doesn't mean you're gonna get lots of clients. The clients is on your behalf. It's
Yes.
how you treat them, how you answer the phone, I mean, many factors out there.
Yeah, I completely agree. What type of marketing do you do now?
I do a lot of Google My Business, which is a free I would say it's a free channel. Google have a business profile that you can put your pictures. It's like a social media profile, I would say, but for business. And it is linked to the Google Maps. So every time someone either search on Google or Google Maps, you will pop out there. If you're not looking for landscape, let's say, the more information that you put there, the more Google is gonna put you without paying Google. So that's a free option. If you pay Google, then they're gonna push you more. But it's a free option. And the other marketing that I'm doing,
agree.
The other marketing is Facebook ads. But the Facebook ad, you do need to understand a little bit your audience or your target. Because again, if you just open your wallet to Facebook, they can drain your wallet pretty fast, and you will not get no calls or no customers, let's say. So it's based on you have to put a little bit more time in there, and otherwise sometimes it's better to pay someone to do that for you that knows, or if you're gonna do it, spend a good time of money on YouTube learning how to do it, or AI. You can use AI to do it for you. You know.
That's very true. I agree. Well, it sounds like you've got the systems worked out for that. So that is awesome. So here's what I've noticed about businesses like yours. Basically, the better that you are, the more business that you get, and the busier that you get, the harder it gets to kind of keep the business as organized as it was when you first started out. Has that been true for you?
Yeah, I think for all business. So because when you started, it's you, or it's me, or whatever, the person who started is what runs the whole show. You wear all those hats. And then the challenge that I have see on my behalf is that sometimes we don't want to let go certain part of the business, like hiring a marketing, like I was mentioning, or hiring an accountant, or hiring someone that can take load out of your workflow so you can grow. Because if you just want to do everything, you're not gonna be able to grow. That's why I said you have to create. That's why I said earlier you have to create these systems to help you grow. And at some point you have to pay for those systems. But a lot of people see it as an expense, and it's an investment on your company, on your behalf, so you can grow. The more time that you can buy for you, the more you can grow your business.
Completely agree. I've seen that so many times where it is hard to kind of give up the reins, especially when you've started this business and you feel like, okay, I could do everything the best, but really you can't, and you can't really do everything all at once. Otherwise you'll kill yourself doing that. So that's awesome that you've learned, how to delegate and outsource the things that you need to be able to grow and get bigger. That's amazing. That kind of piggybacks off my next question. So what is the part of running your business that you hate the most? The stuff that has really nothing to do with the actual work, but maybe more of the back end stuff.
Yeah, I would say the HR and accounting type of the business, and I learned the trade doing everything on the outside, but not on the inside. So that's why it's not that I don't like it. It's more frustrating because I don't understand it. And when sometimes when we don't understand something, it tends to give us a stress or frustration. And that's why it's very important, again, to hire someone that can take that load out of your pocket or your workflow. And if you don't want to really pay someone because you don't feel like you trust someone, again, AI, you can pay AI or the software, whatever company out there, and then you got a live agent right there. It works like a human, but non-stop.
Yeah, completely agree. All right, my next question is, have you ever lost a job because you just couldn't get back to someone fast enough? Does this ever happen in your industry?
Yes, that happens a lot before because you're gonna get, any business is gonna get to a point that they get more business out of what they take, because as a business owner, You always want to get more and more and more, but there's gonna be a time that you cannot handle all that more that you get because of labor issues or you don't schedule right, or you forgot to schedule this project, and then you just tell the customer is calling you. Now that you 50% lost that job because the customer now is chasing you when it should be more informative. So yeah, I have been guilty of that, but again, it's not a bad thing if you learn from it. But if you don't learn, it's gonna keep happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't miss calls anymore then?
No, I try to reply as fast as I can.
Good.
And sending message, whatever email, the faster you can reply, the better for you, because there is someone out there that will do it better than you.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I feel like, if you don't answer, then they're just going to call someone else.
Yeah.
So you have to be the first one that they talk to. Otherwise, it's immediately loss of the job. So good on you that you've learned that lesson. I feel like a lot of business owners have trouble with that and they don't really learn that lesson that quickly. It takes them a long time to figure out that they kind of have to be, the first ones to get back. Otherwise, they won't ever get that job. All right. My next question is, if you could wave a magic wand and hand off one thing tomorrow, what would it be?
The hiring process, to make sure I develop a system that I can simplify for me and for the potential hire. Because again, a lot of companies out there, they just handle job applications, or they just ask you for your resume. But I start to tackle it a little bit different. I start with this question to any new employee that I'm going to hire. I start with these 5 questions, or with the 5 set of questions which says, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are you applying to this company? How is the relationship with your family? And how much do you want to grow? Or how well do you want to grow? And the last one is more money related. How much do you want to make? So those 5 questions will tell me if the person is willing to grow, because if they don't know where they're going to be in 5 years, that means they're just chasing the last one, money. So you will filter a lot of candidates that way. So, but you have to develop your own, I would say, job application or whatever.
That's amazing. I love that. I feel like that's also like, that's something that I've learned is like the team dynamic. You want someone that's going to be able to work as a team. You want someone that's going to have that ambition to grow with you, because if you want to grow, then they have to be growing with you. So I think that's really important that you've established that, having a little bit of a different hiring process than most companies, you'll attract better team members and you'll repel the ones that aren't going to really last, or they aren't going to be a good fit for your company. So that's pretty great. I love that. Okay, that goes into my next question. When you think about the future of your business, is there any scenario that keeps you up at night, like issues or anything that you've run across?
Not necessarily keep me up at night, but I always think of it as I would say as a challenge to myself, or like a target goal, like, oh, how can I get more clients with the less effort? So those are the things that I'm constantly thinking and improvement. Not at the point that takes my time. I know it's a way to say it. Not at the point to take my sleep away, but those are the things where I'm focusing more on how can I do the less amount of work to get my marketing out there and getting as much customers as I can, without me to be there all the time, because I want to focus more on the quality and my current clients' communication, like keep my existing clients happier, but at the same time invest in getting new clients. But it's more expensive to get new clients and keep your ones happy. So that's why I'm just thinking, how can I work less on that, but can bring me money. And it's a little bit challenging because a lot of the marketing companies out there, they just promise you leads, whichever I can get leads myself too if I pay Google, like I said, or Yahoo or whatever. But I don't want leads. I want something that can see my company goals or my clientele, I will say.
Yeah, I completely understand. Do you have any like admin or secretary that deals with, customer interaction, or is it you that's doing that?
I'm the one who's doing all that, like replying emails and everything. I'm the one. But I potentially am looking to get someone to do that as the time comes or the company grows. Yeah, I will definitely. Before I wouldn't do it. I would just keep adding to my bucket list, like I said. But now I understand like that was I telling you earlier. Now I understand that hiring help, it will boost your business now otherwise. But at the same time, you have to be careful what you hire, and that's why you have to create those filters on hiring to bring the best candidate
Yes.
as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Especially one that's going to be interacting with customers and making sure that things, go smoothly and represent your brand and keep it in that brand voice and keep it as like that, client customer centered business. You want someone that's going to be polite and helpful. So I completely understand that. They're the face of the company when they're answering the phones. So you want them to be the ones that are going to be respectful and professional. That makes sense. Um, what do your best customers say about you that makes you most proud?
Well, that would say we put a lot of details on the overlook stuff. Will say so like we take more responsibility on making I use this word, we make landscape look like a landscape. No landscape make look like a gardening, because there's a lot of, I would say, a lot of people think landscaping and gardening is the same thing, but it's a whole different story. A gardener is a person who makes plants look like boxes or shapes and things like that. A landscape will mimic nature. So we're gonna make things look natural, and a lot of people so used to see boxes and shapes. So so I'm fighting with the industry, and that's what my clients are talking about. Oh, this guy is different. This guy make the tree looks natural, they're healthy and everything. So yeah, we don't carry hedge trimmers. We do more hemp pruning. We do take care of plant the way nature does. So we don't use fertilizers as well. There is no need for fertilizer. A lot of people argue and fight that they need fertilizer. Nature will create their own fertilizer. Otherwise, our forests will not exist because there's nobody fertilizing there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that completely. Listen, I have a very large yard and I have a garden and I have a lot of like landscaping around the yard, and the first couple of years that I decorated my landscaping, I just bought like annual plants and all of them died. And then I was like, you know what? I have to come up with a better option. So I bought a bunch of perennial plants and they just kind of like work with each other. And I don't really have to do much with them. And it's pretty great because I think a lot of them are like native to the landscape. And I could see how, you know, that sets you apart from other landscapers that just kind of, I don't think they understand how things work together. They do what the customer maybe asks, but the customer doesn't always know what they want. They need you to tell them what they should want. And sometimes I think people, they don't understand that. So I think that's really special that you understand how everything works together. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, next question. If your business ran perfectly, everything was smooth, nothing fell through the cracks, but the personal touch was still there, what do you think that would look like to you?
Well, it's a good question. I don't really thought about it, but or think about that one. But I will say it will be running, I would say, in a plateau, because if there is no challenge, if everything is smooth, then you must not doing something there and you're missing something because nothing really runs automatically. I would say you always need change for the good or for the bad, whatever you want to see it. But it's because everything is changed. Again, nature change, technology change, equipment change. So if it's something, if you just getting to that point where the company is running automatically, then you're gonna get into decline point at some point of time because everything is moving up, but you just staying flat. So yeah, you always look for change on the good way.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. That makes a lot of sense. And change is always what also helps it to grow and, make the business better. So I agree with that completely. Can you tell me what the best job you ever did was and why?
The best job that I was ever did, it was a whole new backyard renovation. And that was the client understanding my vision because back then I didn't use no drawing, no anything. It was kind of like the handshake thing that you were asking me for.
Mm-hmm.
So I just told him, yeah, we're gonna do this and that. And client or customer completely understand my vision, I guess, or trust me. And I did the project, and the project came out nice. And that's one of the most. In fact, it's on my website. It's the main home picture on my website because it's the smoothest, less headache, and way more better job than all of that I have done so far.
That's awesome. That's really nice. I like that. I like that you did it with like the handshake and that was one of your first jobs, which is awesome. Um, what is one piece of advice you would give for someone who's just starting out in landscaping, maybe like the younger generation?
The faster that you can go, that you can let go all your company's delegation, the better for you, health wise, business wise, income wise, and everything. The faster you learn to let go, the better for you.
That's very smart. Super smart. It goes back to what we were saying. You got to hand off the stuff that you don't know what to do.
Yes.
And and then what is one mistake you made that maybe cost you a lot in business, whether it was a job or money or time, that you can give as advice so others won't make the same mistake?
I think believe the word itself, believe and things are gonna run smooth just because you're busy and everything is jobs is coming in. That belief is gonna drag you down because again, if you don't put a system in place, if you don't write things down, if you don't track things down, yeah, you're gonna be busy, but it's gonna come around and it's gonna hit you hard. So you have to. That's the one thing that I will pay if I were to start again. Pay more attention on create a system that can you can track everything so everything runs smooth, and that gets back to the previous question that would let go as early as can. Because those systems will help. Is going to help you do that because now your employees are going to have those that I will say the Bible, those guidance to run the company without you being in the company.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then do you think that a landscaping business like you've built can scale, without losing what makes it great?
Yes, it will take a lot of courage, but yes, any business can scale. The phase you started or your vision you started, as long as again you have those systems to back up your idea. If you just say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna make the greatest customer service and the greatest landscapes spaces out there," yeah, the vision is there. Your 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 think you can do it, but if there's no a system that can track those things, again you're gonna derail.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I like that you've put a lot of emphasis on systems. I think that's really important. And I think anything that's systematized or, you have at least like a complete picture of what actually needs to happen. I think that's super important, especially for anybody new in business or looking to grow rapidly. You can't really grow rapidly unless you have a process in place. So systems are really, really important. And I like that you articulated that. What I love about Apollo's story is exactly what this show is about. It's about building something real on your word and in your community. And that never goes out of style. So we're moving into a modern world with more AI and automation, and at the same time, there's people like Apollo that remind us of the values that generate trust that can never be forgotten. So post your thoughts below and let us know what you thought and what most resonated with you. Stay tuned for the next episode.